All right, guys, so at this point, you should have completed your research on an architectural era and completed your preliminary sketches that include elements from that era of your choice that you would like to include in your work, as well as two-dimensional or flat views of the front and the side of your structure. What we're going to do today is we're going to break this structure down into simplified shapes and practice drawing in different perspectives just to kind of get an idea of which one we want most for our final piece. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a blank sheet of paper. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to fold this paper into 4 squares. Doesn't have to be 100% straight, just as straight as you can possibly get it. All right, just like that. And then what we want to do is we actually want to kind of play around with our horizon line. So at this point, all of the perspectives that we've done have pretty much had the horizon line going straight across the center. So you can have one that goes straight across the center, but also think about the different placements. You might want a horizon line that is very low on the paper. So try one like that. You might want a horizon line that is very high on the paper. So you can try one like that. And then, the last one, you just kind of, figure out where you want it. Just place the horizon line anywhere on the paper and like that. So you should have 4 lines that are in kind of different stages. Now it's important to not get confused with which horizon line you're working on. So if you need to create that distinction between each of the sections, you can also split your box up a little bit further and just go ahead and create that distinction with your pencil. Just like that. So now you can see this one's a box, this one, and this one. So what you do is you, as always, are going to create your points on your horizon line. So I'm going to put my points here and here on this first one. I'm just going to start off with the basic first one. And then I need to place the corner of my structure. So this can again go anywhere depending on how much room you want. I kind of want the front side of my structure to show through a little bit more, so I'm going to go ahead and place my structure a little bit more over this way, and that's going to be my first one. So then I will, just like normal, create my box, putting all of those parts together. So my structure is very long, so I chose to do a 2-point perspective. Your structure might be a little bit taller, so you might want your structure to be in 3 points. That is perfectly okay. If not, if you choose to do 2-point, that works just as well. But we're following the same rules that we apply to the perspective boxes that we've drawn before. So just like a normal box. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my sketches that I made. So on my sketches, you can see this is the front view of my building. So I have a very tall square shape that is at the far corner, and then a shorter shape for my arches, and then another tall shape at the other side with a little shape that kind of sticks out right here. So what I need to do is I need to find my front, which is this shape right here, and I have to create that kind of element. So I have the front square, which you can see represented right here, is going to be probably about right here. And that's that shape right there. And then I have my other square right here. It's not going to be quite as big looking because it's further back, but it'll be right about there. And then I have this point that's a little bit lower than the rest of them. So to get that point, I just come here over to my perspective line, find about how high I want that to be, and then only from the edges of the 2 lines I just made will I draw that. And from here, I can actually erase this top part to create the illusion of a part of the building that's a little bit lower than the others. Now, my building actually is out of perspective because getting rid of some of this space right here, this part has somewhere that it needs to go. It's not connected anymore to over here. So in order to connect to this far one, I'm going to line my ruler up with this corner, line it up with my perspective line, and go straight back. And that puts my building back into perspective. And then the same thing can be applied to over on this side. So on that side of the building, I have this right here, and I have these two little pillars, but I also actually have a space right here that kind of recedes into my structure. So the second floor goes back a little bit. There's almost like a terrace there. So I can create the effect of the two little structures right here and right here by creating these straight lines. But then I have to create this part right here that goes kind of back, but it's still the same height. So in order to do that, I'm going to again come back to this point and lead it over about where I want the second floor to start, like that. And then what I need to do is I actually need to come over to this point right here and line it up with this corner and bring that corner in just slightly. And then this line actually has to go because it's going to change places just a little bit now. So what's going to happen is this line right here will come straight down, and then lining back up with this point, I'm going to connect it from this corner that I just made back to that wall. And there's a little bit of a distance in height, but theoretically it will actually line back up with up here. So it looks like it's back in perspective. And then all you have to do from there is just repeat the same steps on all 4 of the buildings, playing around with how it looks. And by the end, you should have some shapes based off of your design that'll look similar to this. So you can see how each of them have technically the same elements. This one's a little different. I decided to play around with that one, but they all have the same elements. And they all look like they could be the same building, just in different perspectives. And that's the main goal for this. After you get this done, you can start working on adding some of your elements in. So for example, my windows here would actually go right here. From here, you can start playing with adding those elements and designs and figuring out where you want them placed and how to make them look like they're in perspective. But the main goal is to at least get these simple shapes placed first, so that you know which of these layouts you would prefer for your final composition.